We don't serve your type here. The woman freezes. Emerald silk, gold earrings. She looks like money. He doesn't care. My type? You heard me. The waiter smirks, adjusts his vest. This is the harbor room. Old Charleston money. White tablecloths. He pauses, lets his eyes travel over her dark skin. White clientele. I have a reservation. No, you don't. He steps closer, blocks her path. 15 years serving fine dining. I know who belongs. He lowers his voice. Your kind doesn't belong here. Sir, please. What? You think that dress fools anyone? He laughs. Go back to wherever you came from. There's a fried chicken joint 2 blocks down. More your speed. She doesn't cry, doesn't scream. She simply nods, turns, walks out, slow, dignified. He watches her leave, satisfied. Standards maintained. He has no idea who her husband is. In 4 days, the whole city will. Her name is Diana Young. She grew up 12 miles from the Charleston waterfront, but it might as well have been another planet. Her neighborhood had chain-link fences rusted brown by salt air, cracked sidewalks where weeds pushed through, porches made of concrete, not the wrought iron that decorated the historic district, screen doors that never closed right, letting in mosquitoes every summer night. The waterfront had gas lanterns and private gardens behind brick walls, old money and older secrets, families who could trace their lineage back to plantations and pretended that history was something to be proud of. Her mother cleaned houses in the historic district 3 days a week, scrubbed toilets for women who never learned her first name, came home smelling like other people's furniture polish, hands cracked from chemicals. Her father drove delivery trucks until his back gave out when Diana was 15. After that, disability checks and odd jobs. Neither of them complained. They just worked. Nobody in Diana's family had ever been to college. Nobody had ever owned a business. Nobody had ever eaten at a restaurant where the menu didn't have pictures and prices ended in 99. Diana decided she would be different. Not better than them. Just different from what the world expected her to be. Scholarships paid for her education. She applied to 37 and got 5. Night classes filled the gaps when scholarship money ran short. She built her portfolio one project at a time, starting with friends' apartments, painting walls, arranging furniture, making something beautiful out of nothing. By 25, she was doing small commercial jobs. By 30, she had her own interior design firm. Small office. 1 employee, herself. But it was hers. By 35, she was handling accounts across 3 states. Hotels, restaurants, corporate offices. Her name was becoming known in circles where names mattered. She earned every single thing she owned. She assumed nothing. She proved people wrong quietly, consistently, permanently. That was her way. No drama, just results. She met Gerald Young at a food festival 6 years ago. August heat. Humidity so thick you could swim through it. He was working a pop-up booth, sweating over a portable burner, serving shrimp and grits to a line that wrapped around the block. Diana waited 45 minutes for that plate. She watched him the whole time. The precision of his movements, the focus in his eyes, the pure joy that crossed his face every time a customer took their first bite. That plate of shrimp and grits was worth every second of the wait. She went back the next day, and the day after that. Gerald Young wasn't born wealthy, despite his last name. No relation to any Charleston dynasty. His grandmother worked hotel kitchens for 40 years, feeding tourists who never saw her face. His father managed a grocery store until it closed. Gerald started as a dishwasher at 16, scraping other people's plates into trash cans. Line cook by 20, sous chef by 28. He saved every single paycheck for 15 years, living in a studio apartment with a hot plate, driving a car held together by hope and duct tape.
When he finally saved enough to buy a restaurant, there was only one person he wanted to design it. That restaurant is the Harbor Room. 2 years of planning. Permits that took forever because the historic district had rules about everything. Construction delays when they found water damage behind the walls. Budget overruns that nearly broke them twice. Gerald's name on the door. Diana's vision in every single detail. The chandeliers she sourced from a salvage auction in Savannah, driving 4 hours each way to pick them up herself. The white oak floors she insisted on, even when the contractor pushed for cheaper options. The flow of the dining room, designed so every table feels private but connected. The bar positioned to catch evening light from the harbor. This is their place. Their dream made real. Together. Soft opening week begins in 4 days. Press preview on Saturday. VIP guests. Food critics with the power to make or break a new restaurant with a single review. Everything they've built comes down to those 4 days. Tonight, Diana just wants to see it. Experience the restaurant as a regular customer would. She has no idea what's waiting for her. Diana drives through Charleston as the sun sets. Spanish moss hangs from live oaks like gray curtains. Historic row houses glow warm in the evening light. The city smells like salt water and jasmine and something cooking somewhere far away. She parks a block from the restaurant, checks her reflection in the rearview mirror. Emerald green silk dress. Simple gold earrings her mother gave her. Hair down the way Gerald likes it. She looks exactly like what she is. A successful woman going to dinner at a nice restaurant. She walks toward the harbor room. Her heels click on cobblestones worn smooth by 2 centuries of footsteps. Through the window, she can see chandeliers glowing, white tablecloths crisp as paper, the bar polished to a mirror shine. Pride swells in her chest. They built this, every inch. She pushes open the door. Cool air kisses her face. The scent of fresh lilies from arrangements she chose herself. Soft conversation from early diners. The gentle clink of crystal glasses. The host stand is empty. The hostess must be seating someone. But a waiter is watching her from across the room. He sets down his serving tray, straightens his vest, walks toward her with purpose, plants himself at the empty host stand like he owns it. His name is Bradley Crawford, 52 years old, 15 years working Charleston's finest restaurants. He came with the building when Gerald bought it, part of the transition deal with the previous owners. He knows the rules of fine dining. More importantly, he makes the rules. His eyes find Diana. They travel from her heels to her hair. Slow, deliberate, assessing. Something shifts in his expression. A decision made before she speaks a word. "Can I help you?" The emphasis is wrong. Not welcoming, challenging. "I'm meeting someone later. I'd like a drink at the bar while I wait." Bradley doesn't move. Doesn't reach for a menu. Doesn't gesture toward the bar, visible behind him with 4 empty stools. "I'm afraid we're fully committed this evening." Diana glances past his shoulder. 3 empty tables. A 4-top by the window. A 2-top near the fireplace. She sees all of it. Says nothing. "Perhaps somewhere more casual would suit you," Bradley continues. His smile tightens. "There's a sports bar on King Street, very popular." "I'm comfortable here, thank you." Bradley's mask slips. Irritation flashes. He's not used to being challenged. He leans closer, lowers his voice. Intimate in a way that feels deliberate. "Ma'am, let me be direct. We don't serve your type here." The words hit like ice water. A woman at a nearby table sets down her wine glass. Her hand trembles. A man in a gray suit stops mid-bite. A younger couple exchanges a look. One reaches for her phone. Diana has heard versions of this before. The clutched purse when she enters a store. The, "Can I help you?" That means, "Why are you here?" But never this direct, never this explicit. She could end it now. 4 words. "I'm the owner's wife." She imagines his face crumbling, the stammering apology. The desperate scramble. Satisfying. For about 10 seconds. Then what? He claims misunderstanding. Hires a lawyer. The restaurant takes the hit before soft opening. And next month, Bradley Crawford works somewhere else, doing this to someone who doesn't have a husband who owns the building. Diana makes a choice. "I see," she says, voice level, almost gracious. "Thank you for being direct." She turns, walks toward the door, slowly, dignified. She won't give him the satisfaction of rushing. Bradley watches her leave, adjusts his vest, smooths his hair, returns his tray. Another successful evening maintaining standards. Diana pushes through the front door. Warm air wraps around her. She walks to her car, sits behind the wheel. Her hands are shaking. Not from fear, not from humiliation, from restraint. She pulls out her phone, finds Gerald's number. He answers on the second ring. "Hey, how's the restaurant?" Something happened. Gerald goes quiet. He hears it in her voice. "Tell me everything." Diana tells him. Every word. Every look. The way Bradley said, "your type." The way he mentioned fried chicken. The way he looked at her skin before he looked at anything else. When she finishes, Gerald's voice is different. Cold. Barely contained. "I'm coming there right now. He's fired tonight." Diana expected this. "No." "What do you mean, no?" "I know what he did. I know exactly what he said." Diana's voice hardens. "But I need you to think. What happens if you fire him tonight? He's gone. That's what should happen. And then what?" Silence. "You fire him tonight," Diana continues. He claims misunderstanding, hires a lawyer, sues for wrongful termination. The story becomes about us, not him. Soft opening gets overshadowed. Critics write about controversy instead of food. Gerald exhales. "I don't care about press. He disrespected my wife. And I love you for that. But think bigger." Diana pauses, chooses her words. "What happens to Bradley after he leaves us?" Gerald doesn't answer. He gets another job. Different restaurant. Same behavior. Same victims. Diana's voice sharpens. "We fire him tonight. We solve nothing. We move the problem somewhere else. So what do you want?" Diana has been working it out. Every red light on the drive home, every turn. "I want to see how deep this goes." "What does that mean? Is Bradley the only one? Or is this a pattern? Does management know? Is this one waiter's prejudice or something bigger?" Diana's voice rises. "I walked into our restaurant tonight, the place we built together, and I was told I don't belong there. I need to know if that's one man's opinion or a culture we accidentally inherited." Gerald is quiet for a long moment. "You want to investigate our own business. I want to know what we actually own, who we're actually employing, what happens in that building when we're not watching. How? Give me 4 days, until the soft opening." Gerald hesitates. 4 days of what? I go back, different look, different time. I watch, I observe, I document. Diana's plan crystallizes. I see how Bradley treats other guests. I find out if anyone else is involved. I build a case. And then? Then I walk into that press event on Saturday, as your wife, as co-owner of the Harbor Room. Diana's voice turns to steel. In front of every food critic, every investor, every VIP, and whatever I've found, it all comes out. Publicly. On the record. With witnesses. Gerald exhales slowly. You want maximum impact. I want him to know what he did. I want everyone to know. And I want it documented so thoroughly that no restaurant in Charleston or anywhere else, will ever hire him again. The line goes quiet.
Diana can hear Gerald processing, fighting his instinct to drive over and end it tonight. "You're absolutely sure?" "He looked me in the eye and told me I don't belong. I want him to look me in the eye when he realizes what he did." She pauses. "And I want an audience when it happens." Gerald takes a breath. 4 days. 4 days. "What do you need from me?" "Stay away from the restaurant. Don't tip anyone off. Act completely normal with staff." "And if something goes wrong? If he recognizes you?" Diana almost laughs. "He barely looked at my face. He looked at my skin and made his decision. He won't look twice." Gerald's voice softens. "I love you. I know. That's why I'm doing this the right way instead of the satisfying way." The call ends. Diana sits in her car another 10 minutes. The anger hasn't faded. It's transformed, colder now, more focused, more patient. At home, she opens her closet, lays out options on the bed: navy blazer, reading glasses, hair up instead of down, minimal makeup. She won't be unrecognizable, but she'll be different enough. People see what they expect to see. Bradley expects black women to be out of place. He won't look closely enough to remember. She opens her laptop, creates a new document. Title: The Harbor Room, Documentation. First entry: date, time, exact quote. Description of witnesses. This isn't revenge. Revenge is impulsive, emotional. This is methodical, patient, complete. Diana types until 2 a.m., plans her approach, maps the timeline. The next morning, she researches Bradley Crawford. Social media reveals little, a few photos at industry events, always positioned near important people, always that thin smile. But his employment history tells a different story. 3 restaurants in 15 years, each departure sudden, no explanations, no recommendations. Diana calls Thomas Bennett, lawyer, college friend, employment discrimination specialist. "I need you to dig. A waiter named Bradley Crawford, currently at the Harbor Room." Thomas whistles. "Your husband's restaurant? That's why I'm calling you instead of lawyers on retainer." "What am I looking for?" "Complaints, settlements, anything suggesting a pattern." Thomas pauses. "This sounds personal." It is. Night 2 begins at 7. A different woman walks into the Harbor Room. Same Diana, different presentation. Hair pulled back in a low bun. Reading glasses she bought that afternoon. Navy blazer over a cream blouse. Sensible flats instead of heels. A laptop bag over her shoulder. Less striking. More forgettable. That's the point. She arrives at 7 p.m., busier than last night. More staff on the floor. More guests filling tables. Energy building toward the weekend opening. Bradley Crawford stands near the server station organizing tickets. He glances at the entrance when she walks in. Glances away. No recognition. Not even a flicker of interest. A young hostess, professional, welcoming, everything Bradley isn't, seats Diana at a corner table. Partial view of the entrance and the dining room, perfect for observation. Diana orders wine and a small appetizer. Opens her laptop like she's catching up on work emails. To anyone watching, she's just another business traveler killing time, invisible. She watches for 2 hours. First test comes at 7:30. Elderly white couple arrives. No reservation. Comfortable clothes, nothing extravagant. Bradley spots them before the hostess does. He crosses the floor in 3 quick strides, warm smile transforming his face. "Good evening. Welcome to the Harbor Room. I don't see your name in the book, but let me see what I can do." He finds them a table in 4 minutes flat. Best section. Window view. Champagne appears before they've even opened menus. Diana notes the time, notes the table, notes the treatment. Second test, 8:15. Family of 4 arrives. Asian American. Father in a tailored sport coat.
Mother in an elegant dress. 2 children in their Sunday best. They radiate success. They clearly made an effort for tonight. Bradley intercepts them 3 steps from the host stand. "I'm sorry, we don't have availability for parties of that size this evening." The father frowns. "We have a reservation. Name is Thornton. Thornton. And Bradley makes a show of checking the book. His pen moves slowly. His expression stays flat, skeptical. "Ah, yes, here it is." He pauses too long. "Unfortunately, your table isn't quite ready. Perhaps a 20-minute wait at the bar." The Thorntons have a reservation. The elderly white couple didn't. Guess who gets seated immediately? Guess who waits? When the Thorntons are finally shown to their table, 23 minutes later, Diana times it. It's the worst spot in the house. Near the kitchen door. Service staff brushing past constantly. Dishes clattering every time the door swings. Diana writes everything down. Times, tables, treatment differential. Third test, 9:00. Young black man arrives. Expensive suit, confident walk, clearly successful. Bradley appears from nowhere. "Sir, do you have a reservation?" "I'm meeting someone at the bar." "The bar is quite full this evening. Perhaps—" "I can see 3 empty stools from here." Bradley's smile doesn't waver. "Those are reserved for members." "Members? This isn't a private club." The harbor room maintains certain standards for bar seating. The man stares at Bradley for a long moment, then turns, walks out. Diana's jaw tightens. 3 incidents, 2 hours, systematic. She texts Gerald under the table, screen dimmed. "It's not just me, it's systematic." His response comes fast. "How bad?" "Bad enough that I need someone on the inside, someone willing to talk." Diana pays in cash, tips generously, leaves without Bradley ever looking her way. He has no idea she was there, no idea who she is, no idea she's documenting every move. Tomorrow she finds someone willing to talk. She needs a witness. Day 3. Diana shifts from observation to investigation. She pulls the employee list Gerald provided access to. 23 names. Servers, bussers, bartenders, hosts. She's looking for someone new enough not to be loyal to the old guard, young enough to still be bothered by what they see, observant enough to have noticed the pattern. One name catches her attention. Lorraine Foster, server, 8 months on staff, 26 years old, started shortly after Gerald bought the restaurant. Diana finds her on social media. Young woman with a kind face. Posts about her dog, her nursing school applications, her student loans. Someone working hard to get somewhere better. Diana sends a careful message. "Hi, Lorraine. My name is Diana. I'm looking into some concerns about guest treatment at the harbor room. Would you be willing to talk? Completely confidential." Response takes 6 hours. Diana checks her phone obsessively. Finally, after dinner, "What kind of concerns?" Diana types carefully. "About how certain guests are treated differently than others, based on how they look." Another hour passes. Diana imagines Lorraine staring at her phone, weighing the risk, deciding whether to trust a stranger. Then, "Not at the restaurant, somewhere else. Coffee tomorrow?" They meet the next afternoon at a cafe across town, far from the waterfront, far from anyone who might recognize either of them. Lorraine arrives looking over her shoulder, dark circles under her eyes. She's been thinking about this all night. "I need this job," she says before Diana can even sit down. "I have student loans, nursing school applications. I can't afford to get fired for talking to someone I shouldn't be talking to." Diana nods, keeps her voice soft, reassuring. "I'm not recording this. I'm not going to name you to anyone. I just want to know what you've seen." Lorraine stares at her coffee. Her hands wrap around the cup like she's cold, even though it's 72 degrees outside. You're the woman from Monday night. The green dress. Everyone heard about it. She looks up. The servers talk. Diana doesn't deny it. What else do the servers talk about? Lorraine studies her face, making a decision. The dam breaks. Bradley's been at that restaurant forever, since before your husband bought the place. He came with the building, basically. Part of the transition deal. Keep certain staff, maintain continuity. Lorraine shakes her head. Everyone knows how he is. Everyone's seen it. Nobody says anything because they're scared. How he is? The way he treats certain guests. Black guests, Hispanic guests, Asian guests, Middle Eastern guests. Lorraine's voice drops lower. Always a reason they can't be seated right away. Always the worst tables. Always service that's just slow enough, just cold enough, that they get uncomfortable and leave. Then Bradley acts like they were the problem. How many times have you seen this? Since I started? At least 5 that I'm certain about. Probably more that I missed because I was busy with my own tables. Lorraine pauses. I stopped counting after a while. It just kept happening. And management knows? Lorraine's expression hardens. Something cold flickers in her eyes. Douglas Webb, the general manager. He knows everything that happens in that restaurant. He hired half the staff, sets all the schedules, handles all guest feedback personally. Diana files the name away. Webb enables this? He tells us to follow Bradley's lead on seating, to maintain ambiance, to know our clientele. Lorraine makes air quotes. He never says it directly, but yeah, everyone understands what he means. Have there been complaints, formal ones? Guests complain sometimes, fill out comment cards, ask to speak to managers. Lorraine hesitates. I saw Douglas shred a comment card once, right at his desk. Guest had complained about Bradley being rude. Douglas read maybe the first line, looked at the name and put it straight through the shredder. Didn't even finish reading. Diana files every word away. Douglas Webb, general manager, complicit. That afternoon, Diana calls Thomas Bennett. I need HR records, complaint history. Anything formal about a waiter named Bradley Crawford or a general manager named Douglas Webb. Thomas whistles low. That's a formal request. They could fight it. They won't. My husband owns the restaurant. Thomas laughs. That does make it easier. I'll file this afternoon. The records arrive by evening email. Diana opens the attachment with her heart pounding. 8 formal complaints against Bradley Crawford over 3 years. 8. Diana reads through them one by one. A black businessman from Atlanta denied seating despite a confirmed reservation. A Hispanic couple celebrating their anniversary given a table next to the bathroom. An interracial family asked if they were certain they wanted to dine there. A Caribbean woman told the dress code required more formal attire, while white guests in khakis and polo shirts were seated without comment. 8 complaints, 3 years. 0 consequences. Every single one marked resolved by Douglas Webb. Every response following the same template. Employee counseled, matter closed, no further action required. Then Diana finds the email, dated 14 months ago. From Douglas Webb to the HR coordinator. Subject line, Guest complaint, Crawford. Body, Bradley maintains our establishment standards and has done so for many years. These complaints are from guests who don't understand our brand positioning and target clientele. Handle quietly. No further action needed. Diana reads it 3 times. Handle quietly. No further action. Douglas Webb didn't just fail to stop Bradley Crawford. He actively protected him, built a wall around him, made sure no complaint ever went anywhere. She calls Gerald. It's not just Bradley. It's Webb, too. The whole management structure. Gerald's voice is tight. I hired Douglas Webb. He came recommended from the previous ownership group. That's exactly why they recommended him.
Diana's anger has crystallized into something cold and sharp. He's Bradley's shield. He killed every single complaint. 8 of them. 3 years. Gerald goes quiet for a long moment. Diana can hear him absorbing the betrayal. "What do you need?" he asks finally. "One more night of observation. With recording this time." Diana pauses. "Then the soft opening. Then we end this publicly." If you've ever filed a complaint that went nowhere, if you've ever spoken up and watched your words disappear into silence, you're not alone. 8 complaints in 3 years. 8 people who tried. 8 times the system failed them. Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it. Diana prepares for night 3. This time, her phone will be recording. This time, she's gathering evidence that can't be explained away or shredded. One more night. Then the reckoning. Night 3. Final observation. Different look again. Hair swept to one side. Dark blazer over a simple black dress. Minimal makeup. Professional. Forgettable. Her phone is positioned carefully in her clutch, camera facing outward through a small gap. Recording. The harbor room buzzes with pre-opening energy, extra flowers on every table, silver polished until it gleams, staff rehearsing their choreography for Saturday's press event, kitchen running trial dishes. Diana takes a seat at the bar, orders a martini, settles in to watch. Bradley Crawford works the room like he owns it, charming and warm with the guests he approves of, cold and efficient with the ones he doesn't. The pattern repeats itself like clockwork. At 8:15, an elderly couple walks through the front door, black, dressed beautifully. Her in a strand of pearls and a burgundy dress that fits perfectly. Him in a gray sport coat with a silk pocket square. They hold hands as they approach the host stand. There's something tender in the way they look at each other. Anniversary. Has to be. Bradley intercepts them 3 steps from the hostess. "Good evening." His voice is polite but cool. No warmth. "I'm afraid we're fully committed this evening." The husband smiles. Patient. Gracious. "We have a reservation. Name is Patterson. It's our 40th anniversary tonight." The wife squeezes his arm, hopeful. Bradley makes a show of checking the book. His pen traces down the page slowly. His expression remains flat. "I don't see that name in our system." Mrs. Patterson's smile falters. "I made it myself, last week, over the phone. I have the confirmation number right here on my phone." She reaches into her purse, finds her phone, opens her email, holds up the screen with the confirmation clearly visible. Bradley doesn't look at it. "Our system must have lost the reservation. Technical issues with phone bookings." He shrugs. "Unfortunately, without a confirmed reservation in the book, I can't seat you. Perhaps somewhere else would have availability. There are several nice restaurants on King Street." Mr. Patterson's jaw tightens, just for a moment. "Can't you check again? We've been looking forward to this for months. It's a special occasion." Bradley's smile turns patronizing. "I understand this is disappointing. Perhaps I could recommend somewhere more accommodating to your situation." The Pattersons exchange a look. 40 years of marriage in that single glance. They understand exactly what's happening. They've seen it before, maybe many times before. Mrs. Patterson's eyes are wet. She looks away. They leave, quietly, dignified, shoulders slightly bowed. A special anniversary ruined by a man who decided they didn't deserve a seat. Diana's recording captured every word, every pause, every dismissive glance. Her blood is boiling. Her hands are trembling under the bar. But she holds herself absolutely still. One more day, and all of this ends. She sets her drink down, reaches for her clutch,
It slips. Her lipstick, compact, and phone scatter across the floor. Bradley appears. Professional smile in place. "Let me help you with that." He bends down, gathers the items, hands them back. Their eyes meet. Bradley's face flickers. Something familiar. He stares at her for 2 seconds too long. His brow furrows. "Have we met before?" Diana's heart pounds against her ribs. She keeps her voice light, casual. "I don't believe so." Bradley studies her face, trying to place her. Something about the eyes, the shape of her jaw, the way she holds herself. "My apologies." He shakes his head slowly. "You remind me of someone." Diana forces herself to smile. "I get that a lot." She takes her things, walks to the exit. Doesn't rush, doesn't panic. One foot in front of the other. In the parking lot, her hands are shaking badly. That was close. Too close. But she got what she needed. Recording of the Patterson incident. Confirmation the behavior is ongoing. 3 nights of documented discrimination. She texts Gerald. "Tomorrow, the soft opening. I have everything." His response is immediate. "Are you sure you want to do this publicly?" Diana thinks about the Pattersons. 40 years of marriage, a special anniversary, turned away with lies and condescension while empty tables sat waiting. She thinks about 8 complaints, shredded comment cards. Handle quietly. She thinks about Bradley's face when he said, "Your type." "I've never been more sure of anything." Heck. When the story eventually broke, Bradley Crawford's attorney released a brief statement. Mr. Crawford denies any discriminatory intent and maintains he was simply following establishment protocols. He looks forward to addressing these allegations through appropriate channels. He never got the chance. Diana opens her closet, reaches past the blazers and the business casual. Her fingers find emerald silk, the same dress Bradley rejected 4 nights ago. Morning of day 4. Soft opening day. The moment everything changes. Diana sits at her desk in the early light. The evidence folder lies open in front of her, recordings saved on her phone. Lorraine's written statement, signed and dated. HR documents from Thomas, 3 nights of meticulous documentation. Her phone rings. Thomas Bennett. "You have enough for multiple lawsuits," he says without preamble. "The Pattersons alone could take this to court and win. With the HR records showing pattern and cover-up, you could go after management too. Douglas Webb specifically." Diana shakes her head even though he can't see her. "I don't want lawsuits. Not yet." "Then what do you want?" "I want him to see. I want everyone to see." Diana's voice is calm, absolute. Public. On the record. Undeniable. "I want Bradley Crawford to look me in the eye when he realizes what he did, and I want 50 witnesses watching." Thomas pauses. "The moment you walk in there tonight, this goes public. Press will be there. Critics, investors. There's no taking it back." That's exactly the point. Gerald arrives mid-afternoon. They sit in the living room and finalize the plan. Every detail. Every contingency. Gerald will arrive separately, the owner greeting VIP guests, shaking hands with investors, accepting congratulations, playing his role perfectly. At some point, after Diana is seated, after Bradley has had time to recognize her and squirm, Gerald will approach her table. Simple acknowledgement, natural. Husband greeting wife. "Darling, I'm glad you could make it." Nothing complicated, just clarity. "He needs to hear who I am from your mouth," Diana says. "In front of everyone, in front of the cameras." Gerald nods slowly. "And after?" "We show them what we found, the recordings, the documents, the pattern." Evening approaches. The light outside turns golden, then orange, then deep blue. Diana opens her closet.
The emerald green silk hangs exactly where she left it 4 days ago. Same dress, same heels, same simple gold earrings, same hairstyle. She wants Bradley to recognize her. She wants him to remember the exact woman he dismissed. Gerald appears in the bedroom doorway, sees the dress laid out on the bed. His expression shifts. That's the same one. From that night. Yes. You're absolutely sure? Diana meets his eyes. He looked at me in this dress and told me I don't belong. I want him to look at me in this dress when he finds out exactly who I am. And I want everyone watching. Gerald doesn't argue. He crosses the room, kisses her forehead gently. I'll see you there. Go get him. He leaves to prepare. Diana takes her time. She showers, does her makeup slowly, deliberately. Each brushstroke feels like armor being assembled, each step a ritual. This isn't revenge. Revenge is messy, impulsive, satisfying for a moment and hollow afterward. This is reckoning. Methodical, patient, complete. The car service arrives at 7:45. Diana smooths the emerald silk, checks her reflection one final time. She looks exactly like what she is, the owner's wife, going to her husband's restaurant. Her phone buzzes. Text from Gerald. Room is full. Press, critics, council members, investors. Perfect audience. Diana smiles. Perfect. Have you ever waited for the right moment instead of taking the easy one? 4 days of patience instead of 10 seconds of satisfaction. Tell me about it in the comments. I want to know. The harbor room. Press night. Cameras everywhere. The last shift of Bradley Crawford's career. He just doesn't know it yet. The harbor room glows like a jewel box in the Charleston evening. Extra candles flicker on every table. Flowers Diana chose perfume the air. Champagne circulates on silver trays. Photographers position themselves for perfect shots of the perfect room. The guest list reads like Charleston's power directory. Food critics from 3 regional publications. Notebooks ready. A city council member who handles business licensing. Gerald's investors, clustered together, watching their money come to life. Local celebrities, society columnists. Bradley Crawford stands near the bar in his element. Tailored vest, thin smile, charming with the guests he approves of. Professional distance with everyone else. He's been doing this for 15 years. He knows exactly who belongs. Tonight, every guest who walks through the door belongs. That's what press nights are for. 8 o'clock. A black town car pulls up to the entrance. The door opens. Diana Young steps out. Emerald green silk catches the street light like a flame. Same dress, same heels, same earrings, same hair, falling past her shoulders exactly as it did 4 nights ago. She stands on the sidewalk for a moment, takes a deep breath, holds it, releases. This is it. She walks toward the entrance, heels clicking on pavement, posture perfect, confidence radiating from every step. She looks like a woman who knows exactly where she belongs. Inside the restaurant, Bradley stands near the bar with his back to the door, chatting with another server about table assignments for the VIP guests. Diana steps through the entrance. Cool air. Lilies. Candles. Good evening, she says to the hostess. Bradley turns at the sound of her voice. Their eyes meet. He freezes. Recognition crawls across his face. The dress first. Green silk catching candlelight. Then the earrings. Then the face. Then everything clicks into place. The woman from Monday. The one he turned away. The one he told didn't belong. She's back. She's here. Press night. Why? Bradley's voice catches in his throat. You're... Diana keeps her expression serene, pleasant, completely in control. I'm meeting my husband here. Is there a problem? His mind visibly races. She came back. What does she want? What is she planning? Bradley recovers. Barely. Forces professionalism into his voice. Of course. Of course, ma'am. Let me find you a table. He seats her himself. Best table in the house. Window view. Harbor lights sparkling beyond the glass. His hands tremble as he pulls out her chair. Your server will be with you momentarily. He retreats. Too fast. Almost stumbling. Diana sits, orders champagne, watches him sweat from across the room. He keeps glancing at her table, trying to figure out the play, what she wants, why she came back. Minutes pass. Tension builds like pressure before a storm. Then the front door opens. Gerald Young walks in. Owner energy. Command presence. The room shifts to acknowledge him. He greets investors with handshakes, waves to press, accepts congratulations. Then his eyes find Diana across the room. He smiles, warm, genuine. He walks directly toward her table. Bradley Crawford watches from near the bar. His face has gone the color of old paper. Gerald reaches Diana's table, leans down, hand on her shoulder. Darling. Gerald's voice carries just far enough. I'm so glad you could make it tonight. You look absolutely beautiful. He kisses her cheek, sits down beside her. The room processes the word. Darling. The owner said darling. She's his wife. Bradley Crawford stands frozen near the bar. The color drains from his face completely. His carefully constructed world cracks and splinters. Diana turns her head slowly, looks directly at Bradley across the crowded room. Their eyes meet. She gives him a small nod, almost gracious, almost kind. Gerald raises a hand, catches a server's attention. His voice is calm but clear. Could you ask Mr. Crawford and Mr. Webb to join us? I'd like to discuss a personnel matter. The server hurries across the room, whispers to Bradley, then finds Douglas Webb near the kitchen. Both men approach the table. Both have gone pale. Douglas Webb's eyes dart toward the exit, calculating distance. Gerald stands. When he speaks, his voice carries to the nearby tables, to the press, to the investors. Mr. Crawford, Mr. Webb, I believe you've both met my wife. Bradley opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. Douglas Webb tries to calculate a response. Fails. Diana speaks, clear, controlled, unhurried. There was no misunderstanding 4 nights ago, Mr. Crawford. You were very direct with me. She pauses, lets the silence stretch. What were your exact words again? Bradley's voice is barely a whisper. I didn't know. You said, we don't serve your type here. Diana lets the words hang in the air like smoke. In front of witnesses. Those were your exact words. Gasps ripple through nearby tables. Phones rise. The press leans forward. Every camera in the room turns toward the confrontation. Gerald continues. And Mr. Webb, I understand you've been handling complaints about Mr. Crawford for 3 years. Handle quietly was your directive, in writing. Douglas Webb's face twists. Mr. Young, I can explain. You can explain to your next employer. Gerald's voice hardens to steel. You're both fired, effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Bradley finds his voice, desperate now. Mr. Young, please, I had no idea she was... Diana cuts him off. That's exactly the problem. You had no idea who I was. You didn't care to find out. You looked at me and made your decision. Security appears. 2 men in dark suits. Bradley Crawford and Douglas Webb are escorted through the dining room, past the investors, past the press, past the food critics with their pens hovering, past every VIP who came to celebrate. Camera flashes strobe. Someone starts clapping. Then another. Then the whole room. Diana lifts her champagne glass, takes a slow sip. She doesn't watch them leave. Gerald sits back down beside her, takes her hand under the table. How do you feel? Diana considers the question. 4 days ago, she was told she didn't belong here. Tonight, she ended 2 careers without raising her voice. I feel like I want to see the dessert menu. Gerald laughs. The tension breaks. But the night isn't over. The press wants details, and Diana has plenty to share. The story breaks before Bradley Crawford reaches his car. A reporter live tweets from inside the restaurant. Waiter fired at Harbor Room opening after telling owner's wife, "We don't serve your type." The post explodes. 500 shares in 20 minutes. 1,000 within the hour. Diana speaks to press in the private dining room. Calm, measured, facts only. This wasn't about me. I had the privilege of being married to the owner. Most of Bradley Crawford's victims didn't have that privilege. They just had to leave. They had no recourse. Tonight, they get one. She presents documentation. 8 formal complaints over 3 years. Douglas Webb's emails. HR records showing pattern and cover-up. The recording of the Pattersons being turned away on their 40th anniversary. A reporter from the Post and Courier raises his hand. Mrs. Young, are you aware Mr. Crawford left his previous position in Savannah under similar circumstances? Diana pauses. I wasn't aware of that, but I'm not surprised. The Savannah story surfaces within hours. A restaurant group, 2021. Discrimination lawsuit, $89,000 settlement. Non-disclosure agreement. Bradley Crawford didn't start this behavior at the Harbor Room. He perfected it over years. By morning, the story goes national. Hashtag the Harbor Room trends. Headlines everywhere. Racist waiter exposed at Charleston restaurant opening. The Pattersons see the news. Come forward publicly. Tell their story about the 40th anniversary dinner that never happened. The Thorntons reach out, add their account. Other victims emerge. People who filed complaints that went nowhere. People who just gave up and walked away. Final count. 14 confirmed incidents of discrimination across 2 states. 3 years in Charleston. More in Savannah before that. Bradley Crawford is photographed leaving his apartment the next morning, refuses comment, gets in his car, drives away. His career in hospitality is over. Every restaurant in the Southeast has blacklisted him. Douglas Webb deactivates his LinkedIn by noon, moves out of state within the month. Can't find work in Charleston anymore. The previous ownership group, the ones who recommended Webb and kept Bradley on staff, releases a statement distancing themselves. We are shocked and saddened. City Council calls for a hospitality industry review. The conversation about discrimination in Charleston restaurants changes from whispers to headlines. Gerald's investors call that evening. Your wife handled that with incredible class. We're proud to be partners. The Harbor Room's reservation book fills overnight. 3-week waiting list by Monday. Everyone wants to eat at the restaurant where Diana Young was told she didn't belong. Lorraine Foster is promoted to assistant manager within the week. Diana's recommendation. She greets every guest personally now. Every single one. 1 month later, Diana Young walks into the Harbor Room on a quiet Tuesday evening. Same door. Same chandeliers she sourced from Savannah. Same white oak floors she insisted on. Same emerald green dress. Lorraine Foster looks up from the host stand. Her face breaks into a genuine smile. Mrs. Young, your usual table? Diana returns the smile. Please. She sits by the window. Best table in the house. The one with the view of the harbor at sunset. The table Bradley Crawford would never have given her. She looks around at her design. Her husband's food. Their place. 23 discrimination cases have been filed across Charleston in the past month. The local paper calls it the Diana Young effect. People who stayed silent for years are finally speaking up. The Pattersons celebrated their 40th anniversary here last week. Gerald reserved them the best table. Champagne on the house.
Mrs. Patterson cried, happy tears this time. Bradley Crawford was last seen applying for warehouse work 2 counties over. Every restaurant in the Southeast has his name on a list. Not the good kind. Douglas Webb left the state entirely. Couldn't find work in Charleston. Couldn't face the people who knew what he'd done. Gerald emerges from the kitchen, chef's coat dusted with flour. He slides into the seat across from Diana. "How does it feel?" he asks. Diana considers the question. 4 days of patience, 1 moment of truth, a lifetime of change. "It feels like I belong here." Gerald takes her hand. "You always did." She walks in wearing silk. This time, every head turns. Not in suspicion, not in judgment. In recognition. In respect. He told her she didn't belong. She was just waiting for him to prove who he was. If you've ever been told you don't belong somewhere, and you knew they were wrong, tell me about it in the comments. And if you want more stories about patience that pays off, hit subscribe.